Today's video is sponsored by the coldest water. More on that in just a moment. Yo, what is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new deck profile video. Today, I'm very excited to share with you guys my updated and competitive Speedroid deck list for December 2021. Now, for those that are unaware, I've basically been playing this deck non-stop, day in and day out since the release of Synchro Storm. And I've learned a lot about this deck, and this is basically the end result of all of that testing. I've also documented that entire journey in a series of mine called One Deck One Month. If you guys haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, I'll leave a link to the first episode up here in the top right of the video. And before we get into the deck list, I do owe a huge shout out to Aerosol TCG. He's a huge inspiration into how I've been playing this deck the past couple weeks, and is a huge inspiration behind this current build I'm going to share with you guys today. So I figured I'd get that out on the table as well, and I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description also. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is the Coldest Water. If you guys are interested in getting your hands on a very high quality and insulated water bottle like the one you see me holding here, definitely look no further than the Coldest Water. Their bottles can keep water inside cold for up to 36+ hours, or keep whatever beverage you have inside hot for up to 12+ hours as well. I've been using this bottle for the better part of 2 months or so, and I gotta say, I have no complaints. Nothing beats waking up to ice cold water, especially when the bottle's been left out overnight. It is a very nice thing, I must say. Their bottles come in all sorts of different colors and designs, so definitely check them out today. Link to their site down in the description. If you guys use that link and shop with it and check out, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back into the channel. Or you could use the discount code WK at checkout to save 10% off your entire order and support the channel as well. In the description, you'll also find a giveaway link to enter to win one of their gallon water bottles, which retails for over about $130. So if you guys want a chance to win one of those for the free, definitely consider entering the giveaway down in the description as well. And again, a huge thank you to the Coldest Water for sponsoring today's video. And I'd also like to give a thank you in advance to anybody that wants to support the channel by shopping on the Coldest using either my code or my link, again found in the description below. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the quick deck profile. Alright, so that wraps it up for the entire quick deck profile, full main, extra, and side deck. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably saw some cards in there maybe you weren't expecting to see, or maybe you didn't see some cards in there that you were expecting to see. Don't worry, I'm going to be explaining all of my card choices here in just a moment, because we're going to go through the entire deck profile again, but a lot slower and in a lot more detail. Alright, so we're going to start with Speedroid Ultra Hound, which we are playing at 3 copies. This card, I think, is probably my second favorite starter in the deck, next to Terror Top, of course. I like this card the most because, you know, in comparison to Marvel Machine anyways, because it's a 1-card interruption, because we can send duplicate, summon the duplicate, synchro for Cork Shooter, and add the duplicate, and just like that, we made a 1-card play that nets us an interruption. Very similar to Alistair the Invoker with Mechaba, at least the way Aerosol put it, and I like this card a lot for that reason. Not to mention its graveyard effect comes in so clutch, you know, in terms of just giving you follow-up for the next turn, being able to basically act as a Duke, because it can, you know, banish itself from the grave to net you a level 3 tuner in the form of Cork Shooter, which if you have Hagoita in grave, or pretty much any starter, it gets you into Rubber Band Shooter easier, or gets you into any synchro play a lot easier. Or you can return something like Hagoita or Rubber Band Plane into the main or extra deck to summon out a Chanbara to get back some of your banished cards to help you grind a little bit longer. And of course, this card can just send Dukes to the grave. It can send card turbos. It can send other tuners for you to bring back with Duke, like Fukimadoshi Piper. So I like this card a lot. And basically, that's the main reason why I'm playing 3. It's just a very, very good card that yields us a lot off of just being a normal summon. Next up, we have 3 copies of Speedroid Marble Machine. Basically, I want to say the 3rd best starter in the deck behind Hound and Terror Top. The reason why I don't like Marble Machine as much anymore is because if we're doing certain combos, we are forced to burn things like Car Turbo and Tekatomborg very, very early on in the combo, which I'm not a huge fan of. But this card does have good merit in the fact that it allows us to do our double Crystal Wing combos very, very easily, where if we open this with Tekatomborg or Car Turbo, we can do that double Crystal Wing play, which is really, really strong in some matchups. Because some decks outright just can't play through double Crystal Wing, and it also gives us a very, very good sort of anti-hand trap proof line by being able to force a Nibiru very early on, and then still being able to make a Crystal Wing afterwards if we get Nibiru'd. So Marble Machine, while it may not be the best starter in my opinion, is still a very, very strong mandatory 3-of to play within the deck. That's why I'm still playing it. And also, speaking of making the deck more hand trap proof, that's why I'm not running things like Win the Wind Chandler or Speedroid Scratch, because those cards inherently lose to Droll and Lockbird and Ash, and they also force the deck to basically become a 3-card combo deck. Because if you're going to use Win and Scratch, you obviously need the cards required to be able to use them, a Speedroid card or a Wind Monster, but you also need a plan B, a starter card or an extender in your hand to be able to play past an Ash Blossom on either of those cards, because if you don't have a follow-up, well then you just basically lose on the spot, and you just went -2, which I'm not a huge fan of doing. So that's basically the main reason behind why those cards aren't in this deck. Then next up, we have another normal summon here, another starter in the form of the Mecha Phantom Beast Tether Wolf. Basically, when it's normal summon, you special summon a token, and then this card gains levels equal to the levels of all Mecha Phantom Beast tokens on the field. So once you summon the token, it'll be level 7, which if you pair it with Car Turbo or Tekatomborg or maybe E-Telly, if you're playing that, to go right into Baron de Fleur on your 3rd, 4th, or 5th summon. And you can also summon this off of Auroradon, which you guys saw me playing in the extra deck. And that does come up sometimes too, because you can clear 2 tokens, summon this out, and you'll still have 1 token on the field. And this is level 7, and then if you pair it with any level 3 tuner, you can get into your Baron de Fleur very, very easily. And not to mention, this card also helps things out things like Blue Robin, Winda, Darklaw, etc. with its battle phase effect by being able to tribute a token and then boost its attack up during the damage calc by 800. So very, very strong out to certain boss monsters. Then we play the 1 Terror Top, obviously. No explanation needed here. It's simply just the best card in the entire deck, hands down. Then I am playing 3 copies of the Speedroid Wheel. For a little while, I wasn't playing this card because it really didn't fit the build that I was playing, but now the main lines of this deck have you searching this out pretty much every turn. You're going to normal the Hound, send the duplicate, summon the duplicate, synchro for Corkscooter, add the wheel, and then allows you to get some of the bricky cards out of your hand that you may not want. Things like Dice, things like the Duke or Fukiminoshi Piper, and allows you to extend. At worst, just getting 1 body on field, or at best, you get 2 free bodies, a tuner and a non-tuner, and you get some cards like Duke out of the deck for free, which basically makes your Tekatomborg a little bit more versatile later on in the play. So love 3 wheel, definitely a very, very strong starter card. And it's also just Ash bait a lot of the time too. So yeah, that's it for our starter cards, all 11 right there. As you saw, we are on 7 normal summons, and yes, sometimes opening up too many normal summons can be a problem, but with Rubber Band Shooter in the mix, usually it's not too big of an issue. And then moving on here, we have, for our extenders, we have 3 copies of Tekatomborg. Hands down, to this day, still the best extender in this deck. It's not a once per turn. You can normal summon a Tekatomborg, special summon a Tekatomborg, and then tag them both out for Speedroid tuners. Or you can use your additional normal summon on Tekatomborg to act as either a non-tuner or tag it out for another tuner maybe you didn't get access to already in your combo. So yeah, not much explanation needed there. Then moving on, we have 2 copies of Car Turbo. I cut this down from 3 to 2 because it does brick a little bit, I find, on 3. And I also wanted to find space for at least 12 going second cards. And in my opinion, this was just the easiest card to cut to begin with. But I think also playing 3 is probably fine as well. And then we have 2 copies of Den Den Daiko Duke, a card admittedly I wish we didn't have to play 2 of. I don't like opening this card, but you do need that second copy for your grind game just to be, you know, there at all. Yes, it is recyclable with Shen Shen, but again, having that extra copy to get out of the deck on turn 3 is very, very important. Then we play 1 Rubber Band Plane. This card is a really good extender, just because it can chain block things like your Terratop or your Cork Shooter. It also being a level 5 allows you to go for Kite Drake a lot easier. It's also just good link fodder to help you climb into your Auroradon. And it's also a level 5, so that allows us to be able to recycle it to the deck with Cork Shooter, or with the Hound, and then summon things like Hagoita or Chanbara from the extra deck to be able to continue to extend with. So yeah, I really like this as a one-of. And then another extender that I'm playing here is 2 copies of Primitive Butterfly. I was playing Emergency Teleport in previous versions of this deck, but I think Primitive Butterfly is just a lot better because E-Tele is an extender, basically in the same sense that this is an extender. The only benefit of playing Primitive Butterfly over E-Tele is that we don't have to play the brick that is Nian. As you guys saw, we're already on so many normal summons. I don't want to add any more to the deck. I don't want to play Nian. I don't want to play Pilica because I don't really think those cards solve the deck's problems. And they also make the deck more inconsistent. So they're really just creating more problems than they are fixing them. This card is also really cool because if you open it with Marble Machine, you can spec out the Butterfly, normal Marble Machine, search Tekatomborg, summon Tekatomborg, tag out for the Fukimadoshi Piper, reveal 2, and then use Primitive Butterfly's level manipulation effect to make him become a level 6, and then synchro with the Piper and the Butterfly into Baron, I believe on the 5th summon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, on the 5th summon. And it also can just be a level 5 too for going into boards by being able to quickly synchro with it and then a level 3 machine tuner to go into Kite Drake to force out interruptions. And it's also ability to special summon itself to the field while you control no monsters is not a once per turn. So it's great going into the bird up field if the Robin does not have a lot of materials underneath it. It's also good against the Dragon Link matchup by being able to contest spheres pretty much for the free. And then next up, we are on 3 copies of the Speed Recovery, of course, the best extender, hands down, in the entire deck. This card is insane. It is Monster Reborn. It's not once per turn. And then its other effect that it activates in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to add back any Speedroid monster to your hand. And that gives you tremendous follow-up anytime you see this card. You know, digging 4 cards deep with Fukimadoshi Piper, 4 or 5 to find this card can really bolster your end board and bolster your follow-up, which is very, very important because, like, ensuring that you have follow-up is, like, one of the most important things right now, I feel like, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, you can put up a good end board, but with the amount of board breaks and hand traps that are being played, you better make sure that you do have follow-up, because otherwise you're just going to lose when the turn comes back to you, because you don't have a play to make, and your opponent has probably put up a couple interruptions as well, and you need to be able to play through them on the crackback. So, and then the last 2 Speedroid monsters we are playing, the first one being Fukimadoshi Piper. This card is really, really insane in the deck. A lot of times with this deck and the help of Auroradon, you're going to be resolving this for 4 or 5, and then making Charge Warrior, and then making Baron and Shen Shen. So you draw 2 cards, you know, basically resolve a Prosperity during your turn, and Upstart Goblin, which is pretty nice. Helps you see side deck cards, help you see other interruptions in the form of hand traps or real traps like Duplicate or Imperm. And then you can just keep using it turn after turn to help you stay in the game card advantage wise. And it helps you make things like Shen Shen and Baron to Fleur very, very easy since it is a level 4 tuner. And then last but not least, the 1 Red Eye Die. Also another card I wish I didn't have to play in the deck too, but with Wheel being in the deck, you do have to play a level 1. Yes, you could play, you know, 2 level 1s. But I'm not a fan of drawing this card, so I like to play it as little of it as I possibly am, allowed to, and I want to be able to resolve a 1 if I roll a 1 on wheel. And if I roll a 2, I can just summon out the Marble Machine, and then if I roll a 3, I can either summon Duke or Dice in a Marble Machine, whatever I feel like I need. So I think 1 dice is enough. And then the rest of the deck is pretty much just like defensive cards, or going second cards. We have 3 Effect Valor. Very, very strong hand trap this format. Then we have 2 copies of Ash. Ash isn't super impactful, but I feel like this card respects a lot of the rogue matchups this deck might have a hard time against. Just outright stopping Fusion Destinies or Red Eyes Fusions is very, very important. So that's why I do like the double Ash still. It's also a different typing for things like Shen Shen in the graveyard. 2 copies of Nibiru because this beats a lot of decks right now. Also hits a lot of rogue matchups, and again, different typing for Shen Shen. 2 copies of Triple T. I've thought about bumping this up to 3 actually, and then cutting the Ashes, and then playing a 3rd Nibiru as well. Not sure though. I do really like talents in the deck. 3 Imperm. I mean, Imperm is just Imperm. It just proves again and again it's one of the best hand traps in the game. Not once per turn. It's live as your 6th card, and it targets as well, so it can break chain links. Things that are trying to chain block. Just really, really strong card overall. And then we have 2 copies, last but not least, of the Speedroid Duplicate. Great extender, like fantastic interruption. So many decks that just like don't expect like the bounce that you might set up on top of your board of just Shen Shen or Baron or Baron and Crystal Wing or double Crystal Wing and having the bounces in the back row. It just makes the deck like a lot more versatile and makes it like less likely to lose to any given board breaker card like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, Droplet, etc. Because if they Droplet you or Dark Lure you, you have your backline and hand traps. If they Lightning Storm you, you still have your backline and hand traps. Or if they, hit the back row, you still have your front line and your hand traps, right? Just makes the deck list a little bit more robust overall by playing it this particular way. So that is the entire main deck. 40 cards, 12 going second cards, 14 defensive cards if you want to count the duplicates. And of course, duplicate is also a fantastic extender. So yeah, that is the deck list. Really, really happy with it. Wouldn't change it pretty much at all. The only thing I think I would change would be like the going second cards, as that's kind of format dependent or based on whatever decks you think are going to be in the room at any given tournament. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the extra deck. All right, to start in the extra deck here, we have our 2 link monsters, 2 different link monsters, 3 in total. We have the 1 Auroradon and the 2 Rubber Band Shooter. So this deck, despite what some people think, is not like a Hulk Turbo deck, just because we're playing Auroradon. We're not playing Hulk of Hybrax, obviously. This card is here solely for, like, if your Rubber Band Shooter gets interrupted, it allows you to keep extending, or if you get debarriered, you can go into the Auroradon, and then just kind of sit on that with the tokens to kind of wall up. Or you can spec out a Tether Wolf to get an extra body, or you can add back an Imperm or Duplicate to act as an interruption if you don't have one already. And then this card you can also use just to go into your final end board. The 3 tokens do come in clutch to be able to increase the amount of cards you can activate with Piper, but also act as good synchro fodder because you can synchro Piper in the 2 level 3s for a Baron, or you can synchro a token and a level 3 tuner into Charge Warrior, draw, then synchro the Piper and the Charge Warrior into Baron, and then have any other level 3 tuner on field to be able to synchro the remaining 2 tokens to then go into Shen Shen, while basically netting 2 extra cards there. Not to mention, Auroradon is also just great spot removal if it survives the turn. We're not going into this card every turn. That's basically not what you're trying to do. Some hands will better suit the additional normal summon play, and some hands will better suit the Auroradon route. You basically just have to learn how to discern what hands require which end board. And then we're playing 2 Rubber Band Shooter. In the past, I've pretty much always been playing 1. But playing 2 is very, very nice. Not only if you get interrupted, like if they Valor or Imperm the second effect, you can basically just link into another one and then use the first effect and keep going in your plays as if nothing happened. Yeah, so really like having the second one. It's also just great for like the follow-up too on the next turn. Having another copy of Rubber Band Shooter to go into is really, really, really strong. Gives you a lot of gas to keep pushing. And then next up we have 2 High Speedroid Cork Shooter. This card is insane. Searches you an extender or an interruption, or just basically, soul charge essentially So like this card a lot for that. I play 2 mainly because I play Hound, and I want to have a second copy to be able to summon off of Hound at any other point in the game, because it is a very, very good play to be able to go for. So we definitely play 2 of those. Then for our level 5s, we have Hagoita and Chambara. Yeah, I mean, really not much explaining needed here. These are some of the best synchros in the extra deck and have been for quite some time. Then I play 3 level 6 synchros. We play the 1 Adamancipator Risen Raptite, 1 VW Beast Juju, and 1 Stardust Charge Warrior. So one thing you'll notice with this particular list is we're not on a level 7 and we're not on double yo-yo, because double yo-yo is another bricky normal summon that we technically don't need anymore in the deck, and to be quite honest, I don't really miss it either. With Hound in the game, banishing a level 6 off of Rubber Band Shooter becomes a lot more common, because you're going to reveal Hound and Terror Top. If you get the Terror Top, you have the nice extender to keep going with, and then you have the Hound follow-up Engrave. And if it's the other way around, you have the Hound to continue extending with the Rubber Band Shooter. And then if you have something like Speed Recovery, you can bring back the Terror Top and then keep going even more, even if you get hit with something like a very powerful Hand Trap or Nibiru. So level 6s just come up a lot more as your prime banish targets for Rubber Band Shooter, and I think these are just probably the 3 best generic level 6 wind synchros that we can play right now. Of course, you could also play Kendama, and that's something I've been experimenting with too, because it is very, very good for time, and also is technically a pseudo out to the Crooked Cook card that people have been playing a lot lately, because it does pierce, so you can keep piercing the 200 defense and basically slowly win from there, or force them to keep playing. But yeah, I mean, Charge Warrior really needs no explanation. Drawing cards is great. Juju is great. Spot removal, also really like it for that. And Raptite does come in clutch against certain matchups by being able to act as a DD Crow, and it really helps the deck to out-enforcer. And then moving on, we have our level 8 synchro here, one of our level 8s, and that is the Kite Drake. Still one of the best cards in the extra deck to go into going second. It's either a mass negate of their field, or it just wipes every other card on the field. And if they get rid of it, and they send it to the grave, we get a search off of it as well. So very, very powerful card to have within the extra deck, something I would probably never cut going forward. And as I already mentioned, we're not playing any level 7s just because, there's not enough room, and I think all the level 7 options we have available to us are just very, very mediocre at this current point. And then moving on to our other level 8 options here, we have 2 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragons. Had to secure the double Ghost Rare because I just love this deck so much, and I really wanted to get it in max rarity, and we're pretty much there, I want to say. But yeah, the double Crystal Wing play does come up every now and then. Even if you do get hit with Droll, the double Crystal Wing play is very, very strong. It is also a very, very good anti-hand trap line, and is outright just a good end board to be able to make sometimes, even after turn 1 has passed. So definitely love the double Crystal Wing. Shen is in here because it helps recycle us resources in the battle phase. And it's also just a really good floodgate for a lot of decks to basically just outright lose to, and it's very, very easy to make. And then last but not least, the best boss monster in the extra deck, Baron de Fleur, a card this deck has been needing for many, many years now, a wind synchro that is an Omni Negate, and it also acts as a pseudo extender because, during the opponent's turn, let's say you had to burn your Baron Negate during the turn prior, during their standby phase, you can actually use its other effect to target Fukimadoshi Piper, and then put this back to the extra deck, summon back the Piper, and reveal 2 or 3 cards at the start of their turn, hopefully to find more hand traps, and then on the following turn you can just remake Baron as an Omni Negate one more time. So yeah, that is it for the extra deck. The only thing that I've changed recently was I cut this for Raptite. Although I think this is a very, very good card, and I think it is probably worth maybe still playing going forward because it is mass clear, and it also recycles resources, which helps in the grind game because this deck really doesn't have any way to recur back resources from the grave after a very, very long grind game. but that is one very good in-engine way to be able to do that. So now we'll go ahead and go through the side deck very, very quickly because it is basically personal preference and based on whatever you play in your local area. But to start, we have 3 copies of Sci-Frame Gear Gamma, and of course the 1 driver to boot. These come in going second against very, very heavy combo decks like Phantom Knight, Sword Soul, and the Tri-Brigade Leer Lust deck, because sometimes the hand traps you're opting to main just aren't enough. So typically Speed Recovery will come out completely, and maybe an Ash just for more high impact hand traps. And then moving forward, we have 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone and 3 copies of Lightning Storm. Just back row hate out the wazoo, because, you know, playing against back row decks like Eldritch can be a bit of an uphill battle, or just any back row deck to begin with, like Altergeist, right? You know, I want good back row removal options. I want Cosmic in here specifically because it helps out the Scythe Lock and is a quick play, so it can help out mine and stuff too late game. And the Lightning Storms can also be sided in going second against combo decks, as well as just being a good generic board break. And then some going first cards here. We have 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, because why not just tell your opponent no whenever you feel like it. And then 2 copies of Goes and Match. If I could fit a 3rd copy in here, I probably would. I'd probably cut Lightning Storm down to 2. I've also played Gravity Collapse in the past as well to great effect. But I think like Judgment and Gozen are just better Gravity Collapses. Is that like Gravity Collapse card can technically be dead sometimes, and it you know, also is just like not super consistent to set up. So yeah, that is it for the main, extra, and side deck. And yeah, with all that being said, that's pretty much going to do it for my updated competitive Speedroid deck list for December of 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up on the bottom of the screen right now. And again, thank you to the Coldest Water for sponsoring this video. Winter Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a special thank you goes to our Divine Level channel members, and they are Cadillacs84, Pony Start, Keith Sidgers, Tweeter0226, and Black Ninja Money. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely generous support.